Happy Friday, everybody, and welcome into a PTN Digital Extra. Mike Irwin and Jacob Morris with you. Mike, we are through with talking season, somehow, approaching the football season fast and ready. So we're going to run through some takeaways from SEC Media Days in Atlanta. Courtney was there. She was covering it all, did it really well. Mike, let's start. I know you feel strongly about SEC Media Days. Where do you want to go first in terms of takeaways from the event?
First of all, it's gotten a lot better.
Okay.
When they first started having it in 20-plus years ago, thought it was a lot of baloney.
Okay.
I mean, I went there trying to get information about the team I covered, trying to get a feel for what the other teams were doing, and it was just a lot of the questions were, I don't think the reporters prepared very well.
Okay.
And a lot of it ended up just being PR stuff. And coaches and players want to do that because they don't like to be asked tough questions. I thought there were some tough questions being asked. But beyond that, there's something new in the last few years, and it increases every year. And it's the amount of time that coaches are allowed to work with players in the summer. Now, most of us get to see spring football, and we get to see fall camp, but we don't see the summer.
Yeah.
And there are things that happen in the summer or things that develop during the summer that come out sometimes in media days. So here's three examples of three things that were said at media days that I found interesting, things that I didn't know before I saw it. So let's take a look at example one.
We have whom I think is a supreme talent in Antonio Jordan. Now, I know he's a freshman, but we've seen enough out of him this summer in his off-season workout in the weight room and his running ability that we think that he could help us too.
Just doing whatever it takes to move the ball. You know, like I said, Josh Allen, he gon', try to truck somebody, I'm getting some weight up so I could do that. But just doing whatever it takes to win, if that's checking the ball down, throwing it deep, getting dirty, just doing whatever it takes.
Rest in peace to my father, the one and only Iceman. Passed away about a month ago, and he told me how he doesn't care how he gets here, whether he be pushed in a wheelchair or drugged here. He just wants to be here, and I know God called him home, and he's not here in the flesh anymore, but I have him right here on my chest. So whenever anybody talks to me, they'll see him.
Now, why is what Sam Pittman said about Antonio Jordan important? Because last spring, Bobby Petrino made it very clear that while he's got all these new receivers, he really wants to find another Andrew Armstrong. And he wasn't sure that they'd found him at the end of the spring. Somebody brought up, and I can't remember the reporter, but they asked if Antonio Jordan might be that guy. He's a freshman. He's out of Warren. Bobby Petrino has a huge record of having great success with players from Warren. He knows how to use them. They're very talented. This guy may be the best one of all. I mean, he's huge. He's tall. He's physical. I think he was a tight end, but he's not going to be a tight end here. They're going to use him as a wide receiver because he's got speed. And yet, Petrino couldn't talk about him last spring because he wasn't there yet.
Yeah, hadn't seen him.
So I knew that he'd been there doing some summer workouts. And I was hoping somebody would ask about him. I don't know if anybody asked. I think they just asked about the right wide receivers. But Sam Pittman answered the question. They like what they see. He didn't say, oh, he's been hurt, or, oh, well, he's got a lot to learn.
A lot of potential, yeah.
Yeah, he said, we're really impressed. So that was something that was different. Now, this whole thing with Taylor Green, I don't know what they're telling him, and this may not be what they're telling him, but they can't get him hurt this year. That was the problem last year. He spent too much of the time hurt. And he was hurt because he ran all the time, and he ran right into people. And I'm thinking that's one of the things they're going to convince him not to do this year. Yes, you've got speed, elude people, but when it looks like you're about to be tackled, go down. Don't be stupid. Don't run into people. What he said in that soundbite was, I'm going to get some physical. I got more size. I'm stronger. So I think more of this may come out once they start practicing. I'm expecting Petrino to say, that's not necessarily what we want him to do. But he's got it in his head that he's more physical. I understand why they want him to be more physical. They want everybody to be more physical. And to his credit, he said a lot of stuff later on about what they've done with him in the conditioning room, what they've done to, work with him, teach him how to do stretching exercises to avoid being hurt. But the number one way you avoid being hurt is don't run into a linebacker.
Get out of bounds.
Full
Slide.
speed, So I found that interesting. I didn't know that he had that attitude. And then Cam Ball, I don't know how many people knew that Cam Ball's dad had died. It was a fairly new development. But it's significant in this respect. A lot of Razorback fans remember Frank Ragnow, and his dad died right before he got drafted. And Brett Bielema and Ragnow became very close because of the way Bielema stepped in and kind of became his surrogate dad. So I'm wondering if this is going to happen with Pittman. There's some indication that it will be. And that sort of thing can propel you. Cam Ball wants to go to the NFL. If he dedicates himself and does this not just for himself but for his dad, he could have a really good season. So I think all of us should keep an eye on that. Now, that's what I'm looking for initially, is new stuff. But the second thing I'm looking for is comments from coaches that aren't necessarily new information, but it's important topics, things that we need to know about. We've heard maybe some of this stuff before, but is there anything new about that, or is there a new take on something or whatever? And here's 3 examples of information that I felt like, yeah, we knew this stuff, but it gets emphasized more at media days.
Financially, with revenue sharing, I think now we're back on even keel with everybody, which we weren't. You just read that off. When we were even, we went from 4-20 to top 20 in 2 years. And so I think the program has a chance to get back up to around those 9+ wins than where we were before, just simply because we have the finances to back that. We've got a good football team, we've got a good staff, we've got great facilities, and we got a great state of fans at the University of Arkansas and the state of Arkansas. There's no reason we can't do it. If I was going to make an excuse, it would be financially, is why we haven't done quite as well as where we were projected my first 2 years. But I think now, with it being even, look out, the Razorbacks are coming on.
I would say before, Coach Petrino, I would just play the game, just play, get a first down, try to score. But knowing like the intricate details of what specifically is the defensive coordinator's game plan and how are we going to combat that. And, Coach Petrino, Coach Petrino knows, but also at the same time, I have to know that too, because I'm the one, playing, and we have to be on the same page with that.
It's been good, man, to play for Coach Pitt. Coach Pitt got a lot of energy too. I don't know if y'all know that, but Coach Pitt, he got a lot of energy, and he know how to get his players going, up and going, and I got a lot of respect for Coach Pitt as well, and I'm excited for him. And as far as the team, like we want to play for Coach Pitt. Like we happy with we happy with our coach, and we want to fight for our coach. That's one of the biggest things. Go out there fighting for our coach, and we feel like if anybody disrespect Coach Pitt, they disrespecting us, and they ultimately is. So that's our coach.
Okay, first of all, Sam Pittman talking about revenue sharing. I mean, that's all we hear these days, and there's all kinds of controversy. What does it really mean? Is it going to help? Is it not going to make any difference at all? And here we have Sam Pittman for the first time talking about his belief that it is going to equalize. He believes, clearly from what he said, that most of these schools now, you're not going to have this high dollar spending starting at the first of this month. And everybody's going to have a cap, and you can only spend so much, and that's going to help Arkansas. He also says we're going to have the money, and there was some suggestion a few weeks ago that when basically Hunter Yurachek said we got to cut 10% of our budget, that they might not have that money. He seems to be saying we've got the money, and now that we're equal, that all these other schools aren't outspending us and outbidding us for players, watch out, because we're going to be a factor. So I felt like that was interesting. Then Taylor Green, talking about how Bobby Petrino had changed him. And I thought it was interesting that he talked about when he got here and before when he was at Boise State, he just went out and played and tried to win. He said what he learned in this last year under Petrino is he learned all the things that Petrino does to prepare for a game, and then he said, I have to do the same thing.
Yeah.
I have to become him out on the field. And he said, I didn't know that when I got here. So I thought that was interesting. And then Xavier Sori talking about Sam Pittman and the players' attitude toward him. He wasn't asked a question about, is he in job trouble? They just asked him a question, what do you think of your coach? He decided to go into that. This is one of the few times when I've seen a player say, and this was directed at Arkansas fans, not fans from other schools, the ones that continue to rip this guy, continue to say they are not going to win. You can go on today, I guarantee you, online, anything that has Sam Pittman's name attached to it, he's going to get attacked.
Yeah.
And what Xavier Sori was saying is, when you do that to him, you're doing it to us, and we don't like it. So I felt like all of that was interesting. Now, personally, I don't like a lot of fluff, but I'm not stupid. I understand that at Media Day, you gotta have some things that kind of lighten the mood.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of different ways that can happen. But here's 3 examples that I saw from Media Days that I thought kind of lightened the mood, and it wasn't really ridiculous, it was just sort of fun. So let's take a look at these 3 examples.
Cam, you love barbecue.
Love it.
All right, tell me your best barbecue recipe. Go.
My best barbecue recipe, I can't give you the details, but a nice plate of ribs, chicken, probably a turkey burger, and mac and cheese and baked beans.
Okay, a turkey burger? Do you
Turkey burger.
season it or anything? Do you do anything fancy with it?
Mainly season it, but the most important thing is to spritz it.
Coach Jacob Davis with Hogs on SI. How you doing today?
Buddy, I'm doing good. That's Sports Illustrated? SI?
On SI.
Oh, that ain't Sports Illustrated. All right, go ahead. That's on the side or something.
Yeah, so I used to cut hair in high school. I was just telling the last interview that I did, like it was like, you a barber? I said, I know how to cut hair, but I do not like cutting hair. Like that's not my thing. I don't like cutting, but I kind of got that name. I played basketball, and before the basketball games, kind of used to cut all my teammates and the players in there before the game, get them fresh. So that's where I got the barber name from.
Now, sometimes these moments can be intentionally created by a reporter. Where you saw what Courtney did.
Yeah.
So she decided, okay, I've done a lot of this serious stuff. I'm going to have fun because he's got his own website. I think Cam Ball smokes meat. He's very secretive about how he does it, but he wants people to tune in, and his dad was a big part of that. So I found that interesting, and it was lighthearted. Now, the little exchange, and it was very brief, but Sam Pittman had when the guy asked him a question, and it was from a local website. It's SI Sports. It is Sports Illustrated, but it's kind of local Sports Illustrated. And I can tell you, they've taken a lot of shots at Petrino. They have a right to do that. I'm not telling anybody how to do their jobs. But that was him reacting back, taking a bite back at them. Oh, you're not really Sports Illustrated. So I just thought that was interesting. Pittman doesn't do a lot of that.
Yeah.
He kind of just doesn't talk much about it when people take shots at him, but I've always believed that it bothers him. And here was an example, and he did it in a funny way, but he got the guy back. It was his way of saying, gotcha. You got me, now I got you. And then Xavier Sori. I mean, this whole thing, I didn't know anything about him being the barber and all this stuff. So I learned that he apparently cut hair when he was in high school and got that nickname, but he doesn't like to cut hair. So I assume, they have a barber's chair down in the workout, or the team, whatever it is, the team facility where they have lockers and all that. And they got a barber chair down there. Does he go down there and cut hair? It sounds like he doesn't.
I mean, honestly, you should consider it. It seems like he's got the background, but it'd be like you're forcing him to it.
But he said, I don't like to do it.
Yeah, he doesn't want to do it.
So a lot of times, stuff you did in high school, when you get into college, I'm not doing that anymore. So those are 3 examples of things that I thought were interesting. Now look, there were some dumb questions.
Sure.
There were some things that were asked that you could tell they were taking shots or trying to force something out of a player, or just some things that are just silly. But it's not nearly as bad as it used to be. Media Days is getting better, I promise you. And it's not about what I think or what you think. It's about, what do the viewers get out of this? Do they even like this stuff? Well, they don't have much of a choice because there's not anything else right now, right? This is what you get. It's kind of like this little thing in the middle of the summer, about 2 weeks before August camp, and it just fills some time, sort of like basketball. We had that unexpected where we got to go watch the practice, and we had an interview with Cal. Stuff you don't normally get during a very dead period of the time. Why do they call it the talking season? Because nothing is being played. It's just being talked about.
You know, Mike, they always say every team looks great in spring. It's the same way that, nobody really gets up at SEC Media Days and says, man, I'm not feeling great about my team.
We stink. We're terrible.
It's not looking
Everybody's
good. All the
going to
above.
win. I'll tell you a quick story about Media Days in Birmingham. They had this second floor where most of us worked, and there was a big area. All of the rooms where you do stuff was on the side. The middle part was a place where TV guys in particular could do what's called a look live. You try to make it look live, you stand out there, sort of like what Courtney did.
Yeah.
Only we're standing out there and we're doing whatever we do. Well, one year there was this guy that was covering A&M, and he was just loud. He was talking so loud that if you tried to do yours, you couldn't. You had to stop because you knew they were just going to hear him in the background. And what I remember him saying was, he said, one thing I've learned at Media Days, A&M is the odds-on favorite here to win the SEC. Now, wait a minute. A&M's never won the SEC. I think that year they actually finished tied for seventh.
I was going to ask you, do you remember
place.
what year it was?
I think they finished seventh that year in the West, so they were next to the last. Or maybe they were last. Maybe it was 14 teams back then. So
was it a Jimbo team or was it a Sumlin team?
I can't remember, but it's been a while.
One of them, okay.
And the point is, I don't ever remember A&M winning a conference championship in the Southwest Conference. Maybe they did a million years ago. But this guy's talking about odds-on favorite, and I'm thinking, odds-on from who? And this is an example of a guy that just went there and made stuff up.
Sure.
I'm here to promote A&M. I'm pushing A&M. This is going to make them like me. This is going to make Aggie fans like me, so this is what I'm going to do. He's not a reporter, I promise you.
Yeah, they say it's talking season, Mikey. I guess they don't specify whether you got to tell the truth or not.
Yeah,
we'd like a little bit more integrity on that front.
I would prefer jokes and funny stuff to something like that, although that was actually pretty funny.
Yeah.
I think when he did that, we were all going, well,
maybe unintentionally
what did he
humorous.
say?
Yeah. Well, regardless, to your point, there is good stuff that comes out of SEC Media Days. We learn a little bit about Arkansas, the way this team's going to look. There is always stuff to get out of talking season, but regardless, Mikey, we are now about 5 or so weeks away.
And thankfully, we're real close to the start of August camp, where we can actually talk about something that really happened.
Instead of going over hypotheticals?
Yeah.
Football season, fall camp, all on the horizon. We'll have you covered. But for Mike Irwin and Jacob Morris, we'll say so long, and we'll talk to you next time.